Thanksgiving Day.
I couldn't be any happier.
Yeah, and welcome very much to Conversation. Pleasure to welcome to the program on this Thanksgiving Day of the year 2008. This program will air a dear friend and a friend of the world, and that's Paul Sladkus. He's a broadcast journalist with a long resume, and he's a founder, president, director of Good News Broadcasting, and I can't think of a better program to be airing on Thanksgiving Day than Good News Broadcasting with Paul Sladkus.
Thank you, Harold.
Welcome very much, Paul. It's so good. Fill in a little bit, if you could, your background a little bit, because we've done it before in previous programs, but you were involved in television for a long time, and you got this Good News Broadcast. Fill us in, born and raised. Let's begin there and that kind of thing, just in a brief way, and then get into discussing the human condition on this Thanksgiving Day.
Okay. All right, Harold, thank you very much. Once again, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be with Harold Channer. My background is a show business background. Actually, it's a shoe business background. I grew up in the shoe business.
Okay.
My family had a shoe store up in Tarrytown.
A really good shoe.
We had a nice shoe. And however, the little boy, Paul, wanted to go into show business, and I couldn't spell. And so I went into... in essence, I got a job at CBS Television. Right down the street here on 57th Street, way back when, 1972.
Wow, that is way back.
I was such a happy guy. I was a musician kind of a guy, and playing saxophone, piano in a band, and I had gone to the university for undergraduate in marketing, and then I got a master's degree over at Fairfield University in communications at Connecticut, and produced their first TV show, which then became one of the Connecticut public television stations in that area. And I made a show. Actually, I made it on a magician, Captain Jack. He appeared at our fraternity party at Quinnipiac, where I went to undergraduate. And he just could do all kinds of great magic, and I said, boy, let's put a camera on that, and I loved it, and I made a show, and I said that I knew was something I liked. I had made shows in high school, but what I think was my inspiration to get into the world of communications was that there was a program called All in the Family back then.
Oh my God, huge.
I learned
Norman Lear.
Yes, and he was a Connecticut guy as well. And I learned early on at that graduate program there about rhetoric and about television, and we learned about your friend Bucky Minster Fuller and Marshall McLuhan and all these kinds of things. It was more philosophical understanding, and we learned that in essence, what I came out of that with, people actually believe what they watch, and what they believe, and we really don't understand communications. So I said, well, it's important then, and it has so much power, media, that if someone's going to watch television or watch movies, then let's make good ones. Let's make positive-minded programs. And my mother had given me a book. She was a librarian here, actually, Temple Emmanuel.
Norman Vincent Peale?
Norman Vincent Peale, The Art of Positive Thinking. Yeah. And that had an effect on me. And I was always sort of like the president of class kind of character that said, let's all party, let's have fun. And we're fortunate to be alive.
You're still good at that.
I love that. I believe in that. I love throwing parties.
I know you do. Some of the best.
Come to our website and sign up, and we'll let you know when we're having one. Yeah. So positive content was important. So All in the Family for me was a program which was, I think, a major breakthrough because basically what it did was it showed a bigot on television in Queens or wherever where it was taking place, but it didn't have to be Queens. It could have been anywhere in the world. And that was pretty earth-shattering for a network TV company.
Also very funny.
And very funny. Made fun of everybody and everything and but in a way that you'd wonder about why he's saying these things and what's the makeup of this family and so on and so forth. So I said, one, this is educational, I felt, entertaining, and I liked it. And then there's all these other kinds of opportunities in television. Show business has variety shows, which I love because I love music. And so I started early on. I got a job at CBS here in New York for just a short time. Got married. Wife and I went cross country, and I got a job in Television City, which is always sort of like a production house that goes all day, all night. And we did shows like I got the great opportunity to do a Carol Burnett show. Sonny and Cher show I was able to work on, and Price is Right. It was just like a show, boom, in, out, all day long. We would make TV shows there, and it was a great experience to understand and learn about TV. And then I came back to New York, and I worked on other shows. So I've had a long history. I worked on Captain Kangaroo. I did the news. I eventually worked up to become an associate producer of a Love of Life soap opera.
Okay.
And I was always in production. In California, I was in the studio, so we setting the sets up and lights and action and scenery and props and so on. And then Love of Life got canceled after it was on for a long time. And they wanted to make Young and Restless an hour program. And I went to Channel 13, WNET, the PBS station. Here
from
also.
CBS.
From CBS. And so I worked there initially on their big art and antique auction, which was at a facility called Camera Mart on 9th Avenue, which is a big TV film studio.
Yeah.
And we did the art and antique to raise money for this public television station, and sort of realized, and I kind of suggested, we don't really need such a big facility. Television, you could have it in a, not a gigantic studio. This is a nice sized studio, but you can do it in a smaller one. So we ended up bringing it into the House Henry Hudson facility.
I remember they were there,
So we were there
right
for
around
a long
the corner
time.
from here again,
So once again, I was working on shows, and I was like a production manager, and I got to work and help start the Nature series, which I'm very proud of.
Wonderful.
Which is still on the air 25, 6 years later.
And getting better all the time.
It's a great show. Fred Kaufman and the crew there do a great job. And then the big series I worked on there was the Brain series.
Oh, I remember,
And that was 10 parts, was like the first science series. We built the brain model, and we did a lot of innovative concepts to create a series about the brain, one of the first big science series.
What year was that?
That was in about 82.
Now, is that around the time of Carl Sagan's Cosmos or not?
He actually, I believe, came after that. I think so. I'm not.
It was around that time.
Cosmos, I think, was done at KCET out in Los Angeles.
Another great science series.
I believe. Oh, marvelous, marvelous. And so. We continued on with, then I took a detour to WNYC TV, the local
31?
Channel 31. At that time, before it had gotten sold. What it was actually WNYC 31 is the first PBS station. And what they did to stay in business was they rented out or leased out their airtime to foreign broadcasters. And because I've always had this one world way of life, and I'm a believer we're all brothers and sisters worldwide, and I wanted to make shows that showed positive thinking, positive concept, or as I later
Norman
on,
Vincent Peale.
There it is, good news. We're all in this together. I don't believe in boundaries and borders, all this kind of stuff. So I took this job as the head of the marketing area over there, and my job was to bring in foreign broadcasters. And we had Chinese and Japanese and Italians and all kinds of programs. And I was there for a short time, and literally the Chinese, so this back in '85, said to me, this is after 14 years, why don't you come and help us represent our Chinese television? This is the World Journal, which here in America is the largest television. They're out of Taiwan, but basically here in America, they're the leading paper, and that in the Tsingtao. And I said, well, geez, maybe then if I help somebody, because talk is cheap, if you get an ad for them and to sponsor their program or their newspaper, then maybe they'll let me put shows in China. And Asia is a big country with lots of people, and I'm a one-world person. Maybe they'll help me get a show on.
You probably remember Yusai Khan.
Yes.
We just aired in a program.
I saw that.
I aired a program with her yesterday from the day we're taping.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Yusai.
She's in Shanghai. She's coming back this month or next month.
Great. Yeah. She's actually on the board of Good News Broadcast.
Good for her and good for you. And she also got started in public access.
She did, because she had a show called One World.
That's right.
And
looking east.
And we actually worked together a long time ago.
Oh, yeah,
and she's
great.
a very talented person.
And she got selected by the Communist Party to put on a television program, and they were going to have a market of 300 million. The Rose Bowl or the Super Bowl gets 100 million, maybe.
Right.
300 million we're going to be able to see her. It was amazing. You've got on your thing that she's the most viewed television personality in the world.
I put that
Does
on
that
a long
hold?
time ago.
Does that hold in terms of the reality?
I venture to say it probably still does because they have 300 million watching her.
They got a lot of people in China. That's right. And
well, India has as well.
We did a follow-up program with a fellow who was CBS that aired yesterday from 1984 or 5 or something. But Charles Walsh, and he was director of international programming, and he said, one thing you can say about that, in China, you've always got 100 share, you know. Yeah.
You got a lot of people watching there.
Right.
Actually, we worked on a...
they only had one channel.
Same song. I did I did the PR for a big program, the largest entertainment program in mainland China, in the Radio City Music Hall. This about last year, I think it was. They brought their biggest entertainment show, which was almost like an American Idol, or English Idol, which is really where it evolved from, over there. And they go around to different provinces and they select entertainers, and so we somehow got involved. But that was actually as a result of, so what happened was the Chinese said, why don't you come and help us? I had been brought up in essence, in ethnic marketing. In ethnic, you want to reach my mother, you could put an ad in the Jewish Week, or in Jewish media, or Hungarian. I'm an ancestry European.
You're Hungarian background?
I'm Hungarian ancestry, Hungarian,
Magyar.
Austrian.
Magyar. That's
Magyar.
Magyar, yeah.
Magyar, yes.
That's a unique language.
It is.
It's Euro-Archaic. It's not Indo-European, I don't think. I'm not sure.
It's a difficult I don't speak it. I speak.
You don't speak Maya?
No, I speak. Yiddish, I speak a
from
little
the
bit.
Yiddish already. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so I started, in essence, a multicultural advertising marketing company. And I did that for many, many years, and I did the European community of my own and background, and then the Asian. So I was and have been an Asian specialist, how to market to the Asian community for 23 years.
You were ahead of the curve because we're globalizing. Everything's globalizing, and you were in television before there was Telstar almost. 72. I don't think Telstar came in 74.
Actually, I don't know what Telstar is.
Well, that's the satellite communication. You know, the whole thing where you're going to link everything up by satellite around the world and to go global. I mean, it was in the air.
Yes. Well, I guess they...
I remember doing a program with a man named Gerald Levin, who became the CEO of Time Warner, but he was then head of home box office.
Right.
1974.
Okay.
And he had just made... They used to have to... You know television a little bit. Some of the audience will... to have the movies, which was the driving thing behind the industry in a large sense, they had to send out these 2-inch high-beam tapes that are like 35 millimeter, huge things, and they had to send a copy of the film to each head end across the United States to build a network. And they had just found out they could do it by linking it up, by sending the signal to a geosynchronous satellite, bring it down everywhere, and it was all done. They were happy as kids with a toy. They were as happy as we are with the internet now. Yeah.
Well, one time I carried those 2-inch tapes from New York to Los Angeles so they could broadcast them physically. Physically, the whole next day's air. They said, someone's got to go out to California tonight, okay? Because actually there was it was one of those kind of controversial strike situations, all right? And they said, but we got to broadcast the air. We're going to be off the air. We don't want to do it out of New York. And so I did do that. I went out, and because
you went out on an airplane?
I went out on an airplane, brought the 2-inch tapes to Television City for them to broadcast it, and flew right back because I wanted to go back and see the family. 1, 2, 3. And today, I will say, is my daughter's birthday. Yay!
Happy birthday to
Jennifer.
you.
Yeah,
Jennifer. Happy birthday,
and she's
Jennifer.
made me a grandpa, too, Jason.
And on this Thanksgiving Day,
I'm so happy.
It changes the date from year to year, doesn't it, Thanksgiving?
It does change, but this year, it happens to be falling on her birthday.
This is your day, Jennifer, and
27th.
Congratulations on your 27th birthday. God bless you.
No, she's not 27.
Oh.
She's, blah, blah, blah. And so...
You're not supposed to say, I guess.
did it. I blah, blah, blah,
You did? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Is that Yiddish? No.
But she have a beautiful grandson.
Yeah. Oh, all right, good.
So,
That's
life
good.
is
How
good
old's the
for
grandson?
Me. He's 2.
Two, aren't they gorgeous? Aren't they just gorgeous? Kids are so beautiful. I just love kids like puppies.
They're gorgeous.
Anyway, so
magnificent.
and then you got off and you put this good broadcast together.
So then what happened was I was doing the multicultural marketing. So what happened is I got some real clients. That was good news. And so I had Sprint and IBM and Western Union, Delta Airlines, and I did the largest research. You need to have the information because nobody really knew, what the tendencies were of the population. So advertising agencies couldn't really buy ads on the Chinese TV or the Chinese newspaper because they didn't have any of the information. So what I did is place a questionnaire directly in the newspapers of the ethnic communities. I did the largest ethnic research and learned a lot of information and sort of became the person who kind of knew what the community was looking for and how to market to them. And so I did that, and then I had a great time doing great events for every ethnic group. Then we branched out into the Hispanic and Latin communities and African American. So I've had a great time doing stuff.
It's interesting that you've been interested in that ethnic or national television, because you have a sizable audience. Let me just... back then, I don't remember when it was, but it was around that time, 80 or something. I got friends with a really interesting good guy named Shaheen Butt, who is a Kashmiri and Pakistani, and we put together a thing called the Pakistan American Hour. And he was a friend of the then Prime Minister, boyhood friend, Nawaz Sharif, and we had it all set with Channel 31 downtown. They were going to do the... It was going to broadcast to the whole area from there, a huge outreach and everything, and it was going to be partly in Urdu, partly in English, and it was going to be the Pakistan American Hour. They had it all set up, and he knew the Prime Minister, so he was going to be able to get footage from both private and public sector. Everything was all set to go. The contract was going to be signed, and then the guy who was doing it, my friend, nice guy, I really like him a lot and everything. We have to get back in touch. But he went in the hospital and they pronounced him dead. He was pronounced dead. And the line was flat. I just talked with a friend of yours, Dr. Kaplan. He's very interesting. But the line was flat, and they came out and told Mona, his wife, that he's gone, and everything's sad. And then after that, and then it went beep, 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 beep. And he came back to life after having been pronounced dead. Oh, and then we got back to doing it, and then we were going to do it, and he had to get recovered, and then we got back, and we were going to. Oh, the contract was all ready to go. It was ready to go, and there's some other stories in there. And then we did it again after he came back, and then we went to DirecTV because we were going to try and put it on satellite. It would be for Pakistan. Pakistan's a very important country now, and everything. And then it was there, and we were just getting ready to do it. And then Nawaz Sharif was overthrown by a coup by Musharraf on October 12th of 1999, and so we couldn't put it up again. That's showbiz. The show must go on, but it's still a good idea.
Oh, sure.
And they had a sizable Pakistani Urdu-speaking community. I don't know if it's the tri-state area or beyond that 30-31 worked, but it doesn't work anymore. 31 is gone.
Changed it. Well, it became a city station now. Now, so it went to Pax Television, bought it, and then I think the city took it back over, right? Didn't they?
I don't know.
Isn't that Bloomberg's channel now? I mean, isn't that the local city channel? It's 31. 31. I think. It became back to the city.
That may be operated by Paul Cosgrave, who's the director.
I think so.
The mayor's office.
Yeah, I think that's the mayor's station in any case. Urdu is the #1 language in all the taxi cabs in New York City.
I know, they're all over. And every taxi cab driver knew Shaheen. Shaheen's a great guy, but he had that trouble, and then but he's doing, anyway, that was my little venture into that.
Into that
that was
ethnic
with
business.
that was based on a friendship. You know?
Well, I love that thing. You know, the opportunity, because I went to so many different kinds of events. But what happened was I decided that I was making friends with all these ethnic communities.
Right,
like for the post office, I did.
What a great thing to do.
85 or so ethnic groups. I mean, I literally have made arrangements with the owners of all this media because, in essence, the only way I ever got paid was that they gave me a commission when I made a sale. Right? So nobody was paying me a salary. I was always just an entrepreneurial guy that said, you know, you don't have to pay me unless I do something. Right? That's sort of been my modus operandi. I don't know. That's how I've done business for 23 years on my own. In any case, and so they loved me. You know, if I brought them business, they would make some money, and then I would make some money. So. But it made me have these wonderful relationships, of which I still have, so many of them, in so many different ethnic communities. But what I decided was, what I really, you know, was in it for was philosophically that I want my daughter to go see a Indian Day parade, a Navratri event, or a lion dance, or whatever those are. And America is it's perfect for all that.
And New York is the best.
New York
is the best of America, in my view. Somebody told me, Paul, that there's 192 or 93 countries in the United Nations, and that we have something like sizable communities of 189 of them in the New York City area. I think it's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
Everybody in the world is here, and I think it's great. New York is just a great place.
I think what it also says, what I like to say, it's the perfect experiment of humanity living together from all different cultures.
It could be perfected a little bit more with a lot of those people sleeping on the street and stuff.
Well, there we have that concern and that issue. By far, I agree with you. I live in Upper West Side.
Affordable housing would be good to have more.
By far. But in general, we don't have a war here every day. You know, million people get into the subway, on the buses. I mean, New York is a great example that people from all different parts of the world, as you say, and the tourists that come here from all parts of the world, they can live together in harmony and peace. It can work. It is working here.
You're not going to have any trouble getting anything other than an amen to that, because absolutely love New York. It's just great.
It's all good.
So you were down on Fifth Avenue for a while. Good News Broadcasting. That's what we got you billed as, and talk about it. And you're doing that, and now you've made moves, and you got big things going on.
So what's happened is that I took the ethnic business and decided, somebody from Sprint, actually, 10 years ago, my client said, you know, you want to make worldwide TV shows. So why don't you do it on the web, on the internet? I said, what? What do you mean? She said, yeah, you can do video on the internet, and people can see it everywhere, not just in New York or wherever. And then you can also do radio. I said, well, you can do audio, right? You can do video, audio, and you can do text.
Might as well.
Right.
Everything else
have the
is going
newspaper
on the web. You might as well put television on, too.
At that time, you know, it was... the reality was, but only 10% could watch the video, because most people here, at least in America, there's the more advanced countries that have more what they call DSL and more faster speeds. But here in America, there was a lot of people on dial-up in the old days. And you couldn't get the video, or it would be slow.
Twisted pair.
It would take forever. But, you know, I started it because I wanted to create it, and because I came from the broadcast networks, I needed to start to build a product that would be equal to the networks in concept and in programming, you know, making shows. Looking good.
Looking at the internet for distribution?
And used the internet. So in essence, what goodnewsbroadcast.com is, in my mind, and what I see as the opportunity, is that it's a television network, it's a radio network, it's a newspaper network. It has all the medias wrapped up in one. It's one of the, in my mind, one of the greatest inventions of by far our time, but possibly the time of the whole world.
You mean Good News Broadcast?
No, not even the web broadcasting opportunity.
It's fantastic.
You know, it's the great equalizer, because everybody can have a channel. Every single buddy outside there can get a URL, and they can start to put their video or their audio or their thoughts, their blogs, whatever it is, on the web. So it does now and then. It's just a matter of, you know, we didn't have outlets. You couldn't, you know, to get a story into some of the leading media, you're just never going to get it.
Never.
You know, because there's so much competition.
Well, it's still there, and there's still got an anchoring role and all that sort of thing.
Still important.
But it's also morphing over now, and there's such things coming out of the computer labs. They're just making advancements in an exponential way. And excuse me, stupid cold, that it's going to morph over into the cell phone universe. And
Well,
you've got, it's going to become, everything's going to be on a cell phone. And you're going to pick up a few billion people around the world that have cell phones. They're going to be brought in, and it's democratizing things. We're going to end up with 6 billion television stations.
That's exactly what the beauty is.
Yeah.
And so you'll need to, everybody will need to, sort of like promote what they do and see if people want to watch what you have to offer. But it's becoming community oriented. So I saw that this opportunity on the web, I could, one, call it what I wanted to. I was sort of like in charge. I'm now, I'm not working for a network.
Well, you always had an entrepreneurial spin to your life.
Well, I did. My father was an entrepreneur. My grandfather, everybody in my family were in essence, their own businesses.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I was probably the first corporate kind of guy in the networks, but so I tried it. But even though entrepreneurial or being on your own is like being unemployed every week,
like consultant.
Consultant of sorts. I don't know. It's
I got
not
a friend,
easy to run your own company.
Larry Gell. Larry Gell was a consultant before everybody in the world was a consultant.
Yeah, I see you have him. Yeah. It's in any case, I've somehow survived 23 years.
Congratulations on that good feat, my friend.
10 years though, with July 4th, 1998, I started Good News Broadcast.
Born on the 4th of July.
I thought that was a nice day to take off. And basically what we do on Good News Broadcast is we have now almost 5,000 shows.
Okay.
All right? Because I basically hardly ever say no to anybody. And my dream is to have everybody in the world on Good News Broadcast.
Good for you,
with their good news and positive news. And I'm a total believer that the world is good.
You don't let anybody, you wouldn't let an Ambrose Bierce on there or Mencken? Or no, somebody that doesn't have good news, somebody that's got. Mencken said nobody ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the American people. They looked at things askance rather than Norman Vincent Peale. So you only want good stuff? What about the people who are
we
critical?
Have a mission. We have a mission. Life-affirming, thought-provoking, good news, entertainment, and events. Non-violent, non-sectarian.
Non-political?
Non-political.
Non-political. That takes out about 90% of what goes on in the news.
No. Yes,
it's all
in the traditional news. We have, actually there was 2 areas that I questioned whether I would have on Good News Broadcast. And that was politics and religion. Okay?
Well, that takes out 90% of the discussion.
But then I realized that both of them do a tremendous amount of good in the world, and I'm actually I became an interfaith minister as well, and but not because of that, because the world's religions do great things, and those are the things that we like to feature. The thing that is concerning with anything, whether it's religion or politics or making a mug, is when somebody uses it in a bad way. Right? So when I talk to somebody in the world of politics, we request that nobody in politics and or building a car or building this mug says that my mug is better than your mug.
But what mug is? But that's what advertising is all about.
Well, my Good News Broadcast is not about that. You just tell me like Jack Webb.
Yeah, but you're running against if you're running against television advertising, you're running against the zeitgeist. Or advertising.
I don't have television advertising, so it doesn't. It doesn't sort of. I wouldn't probably take. I more than likely am not going to take. I mean, they can say their point, but I'm not. I would not probably take a commercial that says that our car is better than your car.
But that's what they all say, implicitly or indirectly.
I'm not going to put it on.
Remember Crazy Eddie?
I'm not interested in that.
Have I got a deal for you?
Well, he did have a deal, and I probably would put Crazy Eddie on as long as he didn't say that, and another store doesn't have a deal for you, right? Yeah. So it's all about just tell me the facts. Tell me what you believe politically.
Well, the fact is that I'm better than candidate B, damn it, and he is a slouch.
Well,
that's what it's about.
I'm not interested in hearing about that.
You don't want dissension. You don't want that. You don't want. Or my theory of the beginning of the universe is better than his theory.
And usually the mature people and the responsible people aren't knocking the other guy.
Okay.
Okay. That kind of bad, only in essence, as we all know, it's like, what do they say? When you point your finger towards you, there's one facing you as well. Let's see. You point a finger
I can't
to.
get my thumb
you know,
back to
there's always a finger. When you point a finger, there's always there's four fingers pointing to you.
Pointing back.
Right. So
unless you make a fist out of it.
You don't, and then you're schmagegi.
Yeah.
So the point is that nobody, I don't think, really wins when the more you say negative things about somebody else. It actually is saying, in my mind, more about you than it's probably even saying about the other person.
You know a guy named Marshall Rosenberg?
Yes.
Nonviolent communication?
Yes, I do.
He's got a lot of philosophy about that. Even with people under dire circumstances, can have a mindset where you can try to put yourself in the other position.
Well, that's always good to put yourself in another position.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's good. Empathy is really important.
Empathy, compassion, acceptance, understanding, forgiving, loving. We should all just love each other. It's a beautiful world. And the plants in the animal kingdom. I always want to throw that in because they have the same DNA as us.
Also the plankton and the
plankton's
amoebas.
Very important.
And
without
the bacteria.
We're full of bacteria already.
We are. Everything. We're walking around in a sea of it, and everything's one big seamless web. Everything's interconnected to everything. You like the idea of Gaia? Or are you familiar with that, where they see the Earth like an organism? It's very tricky.
I don't know if I know. I've heard it. I don't know if I know much about it, but it seems to me that I would.
James Lovelock out of England. And
I would believe in it. I think you've done some shows on that, right?
Well, yeah, quite a bit and everything. I know a lot of people. I think it makes sense. And Lynn Margulis, our latest best biologist, perhaps. But she has a little trouble because she's associated right on from Gaia. And a lot of hard scientists think that that's dangerous. And there are people thinking of the Earth as an organism.
Well, it's sort of an organism. I don't know exactly what an organism might mean in this manner, but I do believe that we're all connected to everything that else is here.
Well, it's like an organism.
That we can call it an organism, but I believe that tree is my brother, and my doggie is my brother too. So we're all part of it. And the DNA, what Dr. Kaplan, my good friend, has spoken about. DNA is. We are so blessed to be living under a time that scientific knowledge has drastically increased.
Yeah, and technologically
extension has drastically increased. Now, we might very well say in 200 years that it, well, now it's really drastically increased. But
well, it's going exponential,
right now,
Paul.
But right now, it's a good scientific time. So everybody take good care of your health, because there is that opportunity to live much longer because of the new science that's being conceived.
Yeah, it is coming. It's coming in exponential proportions. And also, its destructive capabilities growing. You know that you just close your eyes to that. I mean, we talked with Dr. Kaplan. In fact, he aired a couple days ago in this series, and he recognizes, and the world does. Saw Ted Turner. He was on with Charlie Rose the other night in a really exchange. It was they were both really on. It was really good. And Ted Turner says there's only one issue that confronts us, and that is that we can, with the weapon systems that have evolved now, we can destroy the entire species of Homo sapien within a half an hour.
That's true, and I have Ted on.
You think that's
good
true?
News. Yes, I think it is. I don't know if
it can only be modeled.
I'm very involved with nuclear concerns.
Okay,
and in fact, I even dressed up as a nuclear no nukes concerned guy for the Halloween parade here.
Oh, good. Is that what you did?
50 of us. And,
Sorry, I wasn't able to join
a Water Not Weapons banner.
Did you find the parade?
We couldn't we met on 14th Street, and we should have met down in Soho or where.
No, you go down to Westbeth.
But yeah, we didn't go in the right place, so we didn't really get into the parade.
So you wandered around Greenwich Village?
Yeah, there was billions of people already.
Yes, right.
What a
just
night!
Fit right in. Yeah.
But the nukes is a big concern. I have Mikhail Gorbachev and I have Ted Turner, and Ted Turner happens to be one of my heroes.
Me too,
actually.
man. I love him.
And I know Laura, his daughter, and I know quite a few of the family there, and we're supposed to be making a show with him, and so
good.
And he's
you could make
the
a show
humanitarian.
about bison now,
Well, right, his Bison World, and or his Wind Power. I just heard him also at the Paley Center, the former Museum of Broadcasting.
Yeah, it's the Paley Center now.
It's called the Paley Center for Communications. I guess,
really?
With Pat Mitchell, who's a wonderful representation of the world of broadcasting.
Good. Okay.
Overseeing that. So there's a lot, and and actually I put a whole 2-hour show on there. So what I'm doing is making shows.
Right.
People doing good things, and we're doing about 30 shows a week.
Okay.
People calling us, about 60 PR companies asking us to do interviews. I've interviewed 2,500 authors.
Boy, really?
I'm just because it's so
in-depth,
good.
you do those in-depth
No, I
interviews?
wouldn't say it's in-depth because it's only about 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
After 10 minutes, this is a irony for me to talk longer.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
But just we usually do about 10 minutes, and we get to the surface. I can't say we get a little bit into kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, you get pattern recognition. That's what happens is if you got 8 billion television channels, there's going to be a lot of information.
That's
but what
true.
you can do, and Norbert Wiener, he coined the term cyber way back in 1948. I think about 12 guys in the room. They came up with that.
Okay.
And I have a friend of mine, Mark Stallman, whose dad was in that room. But he said information overload permits pattern recognition. So you got a lot of information coming, but you can see patterns that makes it possible for us to see the overall picture more than we think could be possibly possible if we're all involved within one of those patterns as being something that we're investigating all the in-depth details of.
That's very interesting. I understand exactly.
And I think it's indicative of the youthful consciousness that they're into pattern recognition. And the human brain and consciousness is very good at recognizing patterns.
Well, the good that can come from that is that the good patterns will be good news, will be positive news.
We could do something called the Good News Broadcast. What do you think about setting a network called Good News Broadcasting? It's a good idea?
I think it's, but the beauty of what we have here with good news, and what's the beauty of the web is this, what you're saying is the patterns, but is the ability now for people to share information.
Yeah.
So in other words, when you get like-minded communities that are doing positive kinds of things, we can all, the way we've been actually, for whatever reason, we're the leading good news broadcaster in the world on Google.
Your thing.
Good news broadcast.
Is it really?
And so
by the hits
if you
and
go
everything?
to Google and you put good news in there, we're the #1 in the world.
In terms of hits?
In terms of on Google, I don't know. And what we do is we link to everybody. But the good thing.
Do you know about a thing called Tube Mogulus?
No.
Tube Mogulus. We'll share it now on the air, right?
What is it?
Tube Mogulus. You go tubemogulus.net, tubemogulus.net. And Tube Mogulus is you upload to, because you got Blip, you got others. You got 8 or 9 different systems.
Blinks. We've been asked to do
Blip.
all those.
Yeah,
many
but
of them.
with
Not
Tube Mogulus, you're gonna take this down in your head. When you get back to the office today, is that Tube Mogulus, if you upload using that and go through and figure out all the way it's set up and everything, it's free. It's open source. And if you upload to one, it automatically links you to all the others with the upload.
Really? We've been asked.
That's something by which you might be able to
I'm going to write that down. Yeah, I'm going to write it down.
Do you have to write it down? You don't remember?
No,
Tube,
I can.
T-U-B-E, like YouTube.
Yes.
Mogulus, like mogul.
Moguls.
M-O-G-L-U-S.
Okay.
.net. And everybody in the audience could look that up.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that.
There's another really good thing.
Okay.
It's called, wait a minute, it'll come to me in a minute. It's gone now. There's a thing called Mogulus. What is it? I can't think of it now. It'll come to me later.
We've been asked with...
But it's making that autonomic process become one where people are going to be able to get a greater mix of the automatically.
Well, that's good because, in essence, the reality, though, of all this web broadcasting is there is a back end, and you need a web per people because you have to send, for example, we're on YouTube, so we go to youtube.com/Good News Broadcast. We have, almost 300 shows on there right now, okay, and we're doing well. And we've been on for a few years, but now we've been asked by Blinks, which is another one, a video guy, iTunes to create channel, Microsoft Zune, and juiced.
Well,
and so, but each one
put you on
all of them. But the difference with Good News Broadcast,
it puts them on all at once.
Well, I could appreciate that if that is because each one has their own way that they want an MP3, and there's some technicalities here to get onto these standards. But what you're saying is that one will put you on the other,
and that's good if they can do that. If they can do that, a lot of those kind of things are happening in economic order where somebody's trying to protect a market and they're trying to protect a profit share or all those kind of things. But if you can get that to be where that happens autonomically,
right,
and if you can get to the economics where that kind of thing can really be encouraged, then there could be great gains that we're not able to do when everybody's off in their market share kind of way of thinking. That's an economic question. I don't bring it up because that's what's confronting the whole world now. Do you think we're confronting a depression like in 1929 on a world scale? Deflationary depression?
No, I think that we're involved.
That's not good news.
Well, I can look
at
Bad
news is part of the news.
I can look at
if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't. If it doesn't bleed, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads. Bad news makes up most of the news.
It depends what you're watching. If you're watching Good News Broadcast, it's not going to be bleeding. The point is that it's going to be hugging. All right, so there's a different mindset on Good News Broadcast. Because even when someone's bleeding, we're talking about the people helping stop the bleeding. All right, and we're focused on the positive. On any situation, on the rape, we're talking about the people around there, or the people that are talking to the person that did this heinous act, and so on. We're talking about positive, or we're talking about solutions. It's not about we do very serious. I did cancer today. Somebody lost their kid. I do very serious. I probably half or maybe 40% of Good News is science. All right, and because I'm very interested in health. And that's one of the major areas. And then there's Good Samaritan, and there's overcoming obstacles, and there's parents and children and seniors, ton of content on seniors. And my favorite thing is entertainment. I love doing shows. We did a great show last night at Children's Village up in Dobbs Ferry. We had about 600 students that are students that have had some difficulties in their home life. They live up there. The place has been around for about 150 years.
Really?
And part of the program up there is that they have something called ECAD, which is teaching service dogs, and the students there, the kids, are teaching the dogs how to be a service dog.
What's a service dog?
A service dog is like if someone,
blind,
someone's blind, or last night, 4 of them were given to Iraq veterans coming back that have lost body parts. So it's some serious kinds of things. So the positiveness of these kids doing something that had disadvantaged situations in their home, these disadvantaged situations of these Iraq returning soldiers. And, they're tough issues, but there's positive people going out there and doing good things to help people that are in need of. So that's a lot of the kinds of stories we do and get connected to. And we open our airwave for everybody to share. Soon, we will have user-generated, meaning the YouTube type. Of opportunity. So people will be able to load up their content and
on your site.
On Good News Broadcast, and we will soon have a whole social network.
In multimedia? On
multimedia. All right, that's
you
very
must
soon.
have a server the size of the Empire State Building.
We have.
That's what it's all about.
We have. We have built this thing for 10 years. We have. The foundation is very stable.
Good.
The concept is stable. The kinds of people that are on Good News are very do-gooders. And we're now getting closer. Actually, we're even getting closer to some significant financial backing, which is good for the world. And because we promote the world, doing
you
good.
You do indeed,
And so, and we're
You're
always
in touch
there.
With Reed Stowe.
Reed is my buddy, and
I
just sent him a note 2 minutes ago.
Oh, good. Send him my best regards. How's he doing?
Reed is doing very well.
Fill out who he is.
Reed Stowe is a gentleman going out for 1,000 days at sea. He built his boat, the schooner Anne, and we've been connected to him since day one, or even before he decided to go out by far. And basically his concept is to show that man can live on, and woman, can live on out at sea for 1,000 days.
Yeah,
and without coming back to the land for provisions and supplies. And,
like a biosphere at sea.
It's in essence the time that take to get to Mars.
Yeah, right.
And so.
And it would be a world record that would put him right up near the top of the Explorer's Club if he pulls it off. He's well easing up towards 600 days now.
Correct. Yes,
is that correct? Yeah.
Correct. And he did go out with a woman who went on the Sonia Amand, who went out for the longest amount of time that any woman has been out already, 305 or so days.
And
she got seasick and pregnant.
Yeah, and pregnant. And came back and had a baby, and God bless her.
God bless her.
We did a program just before she was. When she was back, and give her my best regards. I got to do a little editing. I got a little piece of footage from her, so help put me in touch with Sonia. Give her my best regards.
I sure will.
And Carter Emmerich up at the Hayden Planetarium.
Carter's a good man at the Museum of Natural History.
Great guy, yeah.
We track it usually the first Tuesday of the month up at the planetarium and see where he is.
And you get a feedback. He still got the Iridium phone. You helped him get that?
I did get him a phone, and
that was good.
He calls me every once in a while, and I talk to him.
And he also reports back to the site, 1000days.net, I think is the site.
That's it?
Yeah.
That is it, yeah.
It's a great site, and it's a great adventure, and he's a great guy and everything like that. So, but you're in touch with all these kind of people, and it's going well. Also, physically, you've moved from where you have been in Manhattan.
That's
and
true.
You've gotten a new place. Maybe you could share that, because that's relevant, I think.
Well, the studio we were on for 17 years. Actually, we initially started in Times Square. My buddy owned.
Did you really?
Well, initially started in my house on the Upper West Side.
Yeah.
The first few
years.
It's
a great house. You have a little yard.
I have a little backyard.
Great parties there.
Yeah.
Great parties. The people, I've been to a couple of those, and just a great group of people.
I know a lot of wonderful people.
You sure do.
I do,
yeah.
And I'm very blessed in that way. And so.
But you moved to Times Square.
So then from my house, I went to Times Square. My buddy owned Times Square Studios, which was now the Reuters building. So that used to be the original WOR.
Okay.
And so that was a couple years, and then I got a place on 18th and 5th Avenue, which was a great place.
Yeah, you were there for a long time.
17
good parties
years,
there,
17
too.
years, good parties there. And
you're a good party guy, yeah.
Yep, it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And we got to play, and I get to play my saxophone. See, so when I throw parties,
sax, right?
I play the sax and piano. So it's because I want to play. I play I play tenor sax and the piano all the time. So. And it gives me an opportunity. It also gives me an opportunity to clean my office, too.
Yeah. Or an incentive.
If somebody has a party, you got to get your house.
Together
you got to clean that. Well, you're the master of parties.
Yeah,
now.
Come on, Harold. We're going to have one again, but don't give the date.
Okay.
Anyway.
This is a master of parties. So we needed to leave after 17 years over there. They wanted the whole floor. And we've now moved out to Brooklyn, where we built we call a recycled green television studio, meaning that the parts of our studio, everything is recycled materials.
Oh, good.
In essence, I have stuff, because I've been a collector and a schlepper all my life of stuff, and a nature guy for, I'd say, 50 years. Yeah. And Boy Scout, the whole works of savings kinds of things. And so...
were you an Eagle Scout?
I didn't make it to the Eagle, no.
You know the Boy Scouts marching song?
The marching song, or trustworthy, loyal, hopeful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
No,
but the marching song, I don't know. I'll say that because I don't know.
Be prepared. That's the Boy Scouts marching song. Be prepared. As through life you march along, be prepared to hide your cigarettes very well.
Away.
Don't write naughty words on walls if you can't spell. Be prepared to hide that pack of cigarettes.
Really?
Don't make book if you cannot cover bets. Don't solicit for your sister. That's not nice. Unless you get a good percentage of her price.
Yeah, Harold,
that's the pre-prepared song.
No, that's not a Boy Scout song.
That is.
What are you talking about?
That's the Boy Scout song for Be
Harold,
Prepared.
I'm crazy about you, but that can't be the Boy Scout.
That's Tom Lear. That's Tom Lear. God bless him.
That's not Norman Lear. That's Timothy Lear.
No, that's Tom Lear. All right. Anyway, so you're out there, and it's a good place. You're got, right?
So we built the studio. We have parts of Grand Central Jockey Club. We have the Biltmore Hotel's drapes. We have Armani stuff that they threw out. We have Chanel stuff that they threw out onto the street because the guy that owns it, Al Atara, is a collector. We have Coney Island Avenue.
So the place is pretty big, right?
It's a good size, yes. Place. Yeah. We just built a gigantic green screen, 40-foot studio, and we're pumping out shows.
And you got
Anybody wants to make a show, bring it over, or a channel.
Yeah.
That's my big thing. I want to build channels for people.
Yeah, okay.
So if somebody wants to build a channel on health, or Dr. Kaplan, we're making a channel for Dr. Kaplan.
Oh, good.
For
we were going to suggest he might want to become a producer. Maybe he's better with you.
They either play both.
Both, maybe. Yeah, there's room for both.
It's like
Kaplan's a great guy.
Judith West. We started, and she's got about 50, 60 shows. She's on Manhattan.
Yeah.
She's on BCAT. She's on Good News. This is the beauty now. You make good shows. You share what you have. You can share it with millions, and you can do that pattern that you were saying.
Yeah, right.
You know, you get all those people to link to you. It's a different kind of a world. You don't have to be an exclusive. We have the exclusive. Forget about exclusive. Just everybody share good stuff.
Remember that exclusive was something that was very much part of the ad agency's things. And that's one of the things they do. They know how to manipulate human consciousness and everything. And scarcity is the hallmark. If something's scarce, the more valuable. You know, that's the way. If it's scarce, it's valuable. Rather, I don't know if we've got patterns that are going to allow us to realize the full dimension of a real, let's say, liberated human condition and everything. Are you optimistic about the human prospect? Even though there is this Damoclean thing that we can measure at a model that we can wipe. It's incredible. Couldn't do it in the Second World War. The whole species of Homo sapien after 200,000 years can be wiped out in half an hour with weapon systems that are up and running now. That's something really amazing. That's something, you know, we were protected in our impotence as we evolved, you know what I'm saying? This is a time of qualitative transformation. Do you sense that? Or are you more into muddling through with the systems? How are we going to lay us on with the inherited institutions if things have changed at a zeitgeist level? Okay. How do we make those kind of transformations, you know, where we have institutions built within a context, the context changes, and then we have to subsume or deal with those outdated or amortize or whatever you see it, those institutions we've inherited, even though the capability has changed. Maybe even on the positive side, maybe we can start looking ahead to really liberating order, whereas throughout most of history, it's been very plutocratically oppressive of most of the people of the world.
Here's my thought.
All right, what's your thought in the good news vein?
The good news thought, and this is what people have shared with me. I'm making a movie with a lot of people that were in the movie The Secret with Jack Canfield's Transformational Leadership Council, and one of the guys there said to me, we're on a recess. It's not a recession. It's a recess. We need a recess. The world by far needs a recess, especially if you have these little these big bomby things that could wipe out the world, like you're speaking about.
Not wipe out the world, I don't think. We wipe out Homo sapien.
Okay. Wipe out Homo sapien. Okay.
No, there would be creatures.
There'll be creatures. Okay, so
in a couple billion years, evolution would pick up again.
Okay, so could wipe out the Homo sapiens. Could wipe out.
Couldn't happen within our lifetime. We were in a situation where that could not happen. We were impotent. Second World War, we were impotent. We could try to kill each other.
Right.
Dresden, firebomb.
Right.
Nazi Holocaust. All that we could try, but we were impotent. But now we can do it. Well, what's the averse side transformation in an existential sense to that destructive capability, which Paul, we've exhibited that, or political leaders have exhibited that with alarming regularity throughout all of human history, from the emperors of Rome to the kings to the plutocrats who ran things. And what's on the transition at the level of capability that's equally existentially significant to that? It might be worth mentioning that there's been a change in the zeitgeist or in the spirit. And one of my contentions I'd put up, I really think it's true now with our capability that's increasing exponentially. A new thing comes in over the transom every day from science and so forth, that we have actually transcended material scarcity on a total in a total way since about the same time the weapon systems became species lethal, about 1970. We've transcended scarcity, and the assumption of scarcity is material scarcity is something we've transcended in terms of our abstract technological capability of providing for the whole of the human society and its evolution and the ecology. It's a new world in terms at the level of capability. Our institutions are all predicated and outdated historical institutions that have to be transformed and subsumed. And where is that leadership going to come from?
I believe that...
or is it important to address those kind of questions?
It's by far important to address it.
You're not just being Pollyannish.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, this is not at all.
Or ignoring the reality.
Not at all. Not whatsoever.
You understand what I'm saying?
I believe that there's another new world ahead of us.
Okay.
And that the recess, let's say, not
recession,
recession, is a good factor. For humankind.
That's what we're going through now.
That brings 20 countries together in America to talk about things. Or the French president says he wants to bring his community together. I think that everybody, whoever, and then there'll be the Chinese, the Asian, or whatever. I think that the world we say always, Jerry Greenberg, who was out of his mouth, we are all on this together. Everybody. Yes, he is, and all we are is what we are for each other. Okay, I believe and feel very comfortable and confident that, and for me, it's a must because I got grandkids, and I'm a believer in humanity, and it's in my soul that the world is good, and that this economic condition is going to resolve itself. And that's actually, it's even a minor thing compared to the natural thing, which is the environmental concerns that we need to deal with, which also is a worldly kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Now, the economic condition is a worldly thing.
Yeah.
So, the UN with their Millennium Goals, things are coming around where I thought that we should get rid of all the countries of the world, is coming around, actually, in my mind, naturally. Economically, it's coming around that we all have to start to figure out how to work together. Environmentally, how are we going to drink water, not weapons, my buddy Phil Sowers, and the World Water Rescue, and so on and so forth. I am very confident that no one's going to be pushing buttons because we're all in this together, and we're going to resolve how to actually get rid of all the buttons and nuclear arms in the world, that we're getting closer to getting rid of them that have been around for a while. Okay, this is not new, the nuclear concerns. In essence, they have been around. So now we're going to figure out better ways with leaders like a Ted Turner and other people to get rid of that kind of stuff, because we know it's a scary kind of thing, and that I'm very optimistic. And I'm not being Pollyannish. I'm speaking, I think, real climatic concerns, the economic concern. They make people, when people got to do business together to survive, that's one way that they get together. Another way is if they know they're not going to have anything to drink, some water, then they get together on that subject as well. And that's what is happening. Whoever's running the show, this is the show. We're in it.
And maybe by dint of necessity, we'll get to that, right?
100%.
Yeah, you feel that. Yeah, okay.
And I'm optimistic we're going to do it, and we're going to do it nicely and in a kind, giving, loving way.
We'll keep putting that out. It's great. It's a great hope for the world.
There's millions of people doing it.
Yeah.
Good News is open for that kind of thought process, which is most of the world. Most of the world aren't warriors. Most of the world are kind, giving, loving people. And the warriors
and it's true, and at an individual level.
We're at peace. The world basically is at peace. It's a better thought. The fact is that there's, out of 6.5 billion people, how many people are fighting each other? It's a small amount of people little boys who can't communicate and say, you don't like me, I don't like you, but you don't have to shoot me. It's a very small amount that let's figure out better ways worldwide how to deal with them.
Maybe we should have an institution where they can be installed
for
heavy-duty therapy or something like that.
In the Native American Indian, they would hug them. They'd put them into a group, and they'd figure out a way for the community to deal with somebody that had obviously some mental problems.
Yeah, right. Okay. King of Hearts, the movie. You ever seen the King of Hearts?
I did sing. I just saw it recently again.
Okay. Good movie. It would go out on. Happy Thanksgiving to one. I can't think of a happier Thanksgiving message than from our guest, a really great guy, Paul Sladkus, with Good News Broadcasting. A good guy for good news, Paul Sladkus. Your pleasure to have his perceptions. And Jennifer, happy birthday on this Thanksgiving Day. And to all of you out there, enjoy this.